You were never broke. You were bound by an invisible loyalty to emotional scarcity. Most people die without realizing that lack isn't the absence of money. It's the presence of an ancient program. A ghost code etched into your nervous system, written in silences and tight jaws in "we can't afford this" murmured at grocery stores. You think you've been chasing wealth, but your unconscious has only been protecting ancestral loyalty to pain. If I have too much, they'll reject me. If I receive with ease, I'm betraying those who bled for survival. These aren't thoughts. They're spiritual contracts. Carl Jung would call it a possession, a scarcity complex running your life from the shadows. You don't manage money. You obey it. You grew up hearing that money is dirty, that being spiritual means struggling, that joy must be earned in sweat and repentance. But what if this isn't divine law? What if this is the true cage? The world is collapsing, not from resource shortage, but from emotional poverty. Burnout, credit cards as lifelines, love turned transactional. This is not an accident, it's architecture. And I'm not saying this because I made it. I'm saying it because I almost died being loyal to lack. Breaking this contract isn't about finances. It's about standing before your mother's ghost and saying, "I don't need to suffer to honor your pain." That's dangerous. That's sacred. And that begins now. Today, you hear the sound beneath your silence. This video is a ritual, not to attract money, but to revoke your devotion to emotional scarcity. The system taught you to serve that scarcity. Before you spoke, you felt it. The crestfallen eyes of your parents after the rent was paid, the shame-laced glance when purchasing floor cleaner instead of fresh shoes. Every denied yes became a tether on your psyche. Every "we can't afford that" etched sorrow into your bones. As you entered school, you mastered obedience. It told you, follow the line. The workforce refined you. Be thankful for crumbs. Spirituality branded you. Suffering is holy. And consumer culture sealed the bargain. Better poverty with purpose than abundance with guilt. Robert Cialdini calls it consistency bias. The brain's hunger to repeat the known over face the unfamiliar. So even when you can receive, something inside still reverberates. No. Even when opportunity knocks, your internal doorman demands a sacrifice. Because scarcity lives more in identity than in wallets. This wasn't a glitch. It was a design, a labyrinth of levers trained to make your emptiness feel secure. Burnout breeds compliance. Debt breeds obedience. Pain breeds loyalty. And now, as you awaken, that old comfort trembles. Because the system is allergic to your clarity. It depends on your emptiness to thrive. You became a survival architect. But in doing so, you slid open parts of yourself. That small dreamer, the one who dared imagine castles in gold, was locked away in a basement built from guilt and "don't be selfish." In its place, masks emerged. The overstriver, exhausted yet praised, always on the brink of collapse. The gratitude martyr, cheerful while swallowing disrespect. The spiritual ascetic preaches detachment but quakes at every bill. These masks saved you, but now they suffocate. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What drives you isn't lack, it's ancestral rejection. You don't fear abundance, you fear exile from your tribe. Gabor Mate teaches that trauma is adaptive survival. You adapted to survival over flourishing. So any scent of freedom, calm bank account, peaceful relationship, feels like treason. You glance at someone living boldly, and something scrawls inside you. Contempt. Because envy cloaked in judgment is a wise mask's defense. The martyr is loved, but never fully alive. Your soul fragmented to fit a world that glorifies struggle. Now every piece you abandoned demands its return. In your body, your bank, your relationships, you pay that cost daily. You think you choose. You don't. Every choice was seeded by a network that equates freedom with purchase. This false abundance arrives packaged: microloans, lifestyle upgrades, self-help slogans on pastel overlay. Look at the eyes behind polished live streams. They're hollow. Because as soon as the next sale disappears, everything collapses. This isn't liberation, it's gilded imprisonment. You trade time for influence, presence for performance, soul for algorithmic validation, because you still believe abundance lives outside. In the next webinar, the next program, the next enlightened course. You've been taught that scarcity is biological, but a believing in your own insufficiency is economic genius. Makes you buy compulsively. Daniel Kahneman observed, "We don't decide with logic, we decide with feeling." Your purchases aren't about solution, they're about belonging, about pardons, about masks. And each time you almost succeed, the scarcity morphs. Now it wears a guru's voice. Later it whispers through whisper coaches. Same message. Not ready. The truth is brutal. The system needs you, in lack, because whole people don't consume as much. And if you don't consume, you become unpredictable. You don't need another plan. You need a burial, a funeral for the version of you that kneels to unworthiness. The version who trades energy for validation, who denies joy out of obligation. That version must die, and it won't be pretty. You'll feel guilt. You'll hear ghost voices of your past accusing you of betrayal. Yes, you will change. Because whoever doesn't evolve suffocates under inherited loyalties. Breakthrough starts quietly, when you face your inner scarcity and say, "I see you, but I'm not you." Shadow doesn't vanish with resistance, it dissolves in presence. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Nothing can be denied to one who refuses to deny themselves. So stop refusing. To receive pleasure, allow rest, welcome resources." Abundance isn't about acquiring more, it's about being more, about claiming your right to exist, unapologetically, even if loved ones expect martyrdom. Start small. Say no to obligations that drain you. Buy something just because it's beautiful, no explanation required. Shut the voice that says merit must be earned in suffering. The new you isn't built, it's remembered. Because deep down, you've always known, you were born to radiate, not to hoard. Reconstruction isn't in formulas, it's electric, intimate, almost mystical. And it begins now, as soon as you dare to betray scarcity. Everything you call financial reality is actually a collectively shared fantasy rooted in unhealed childhood. Your bank statement mirrors your internal meter of self-worth. If you strive to earn more without becoming more, you'll keep circling. Because scarcity doesn't live in your wallet, it lives in your body. In clenched jaws, held breath, unspoken, "I can't, I shouldn't, I'm not enough." True abundance begins when you hush that shame's echo. When the fear of loss gives way to visceral trust that you are the source, not the supplicant. You no longer ask. You emit. Abundance isn't sought. It's embodied. It shows in your tone, the pace of your steps, the gaze that chooses. Not pleads. And right here, right now, you don't need explanation, just permission. Permission to bury the old invisible pact. Ancestral, emotional, deeply coded. But today, broken. You were born whole. You were born complete. And today, scarcity lost a soldier. I revoke every pact with lack. I become presence. Comment below. I revoke every pact with lack. I become presence. Share this with anyone still living under that silent prison. And if you're ready to keep breaking chains, subscribe now. Breaking scarcity is breaking the entire system.